Life Coach.
That is me, and the phones are already lit up. Good, because I didn't. You know, it breaks my heart when I see you guys wait on hold, and worse if you can't hold anymore and have to hang up. That kills me. This is Danny Bonducci, Life Coach. It is brought to you by Goldberg Jones Divorce for Men at 1-800-DIVORCE, and helping me at the helm this morning, Rick Jones. Morning, Rick.
Morning, Danny.
How are you?
I'm terrific. Yourself?
I'm very well, thank you. Normally, I would spend some time saying hello to my friend Rick, but the phones are packed, and let's get to as many of them as we can, okay? You good at that?
Let's do it.
All right. Let's go to line 3 and talk to Scott in Stanwood. Good morning, Scott.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm incredibly well. I'm assuming Rick is too.
Hey, Scott.
All right, go on. What do you need, man?
Hey, I've been going through divorce for some time now. It was a 14-month marriage, and it's been 2 years trying to get divorced. She actually filed to divorce and got all her ducks in a row and had a false protection order placed on me and had me kicked out of my own house that I've had for 7 or 8 years before we were even together. It was just a ploy for her to get all my property. So possession being 9/10 of the law, she still has it all. I was given quite a few items in arbitration months ago, but I'm having a hard time collecting those items, a boat being the biggest one, some other things, motorcycle, stuff like that. How can I go about getting that stuff back?
Yeah, let me jump in on this, Scott, then.
No, you don't have to jump in. I've realized that I can't hang with you.
Okay. Is your divorce final?
No, it's not.
Okay, so the arbitration was... Yeah, I hear you. The arbitration then was done just sort of as an intermediate step to resolve some of the issues?
Yes.
Okay.
And now I'm finding it takes cubic dollars to try to get the rest of it done, even though she filed. She ran out of money, and so did I. So
unfortunately, it is the nature of the beast. I understand that. Well, here's the key. The key. You do have some power here because you do have an arbitration award, and the fact that your divorce isn't final means that the court still has some say. So ultimately, what you're going to be able to do is part of this, try to enforce that. Be able to do a motion to the court, or hopefully even before it gets there, because that'll cost bucks, but do a motion to the court that basically says, I want to enforce this arbitration award. And if she can't, the court's going to order her to provide these items to you if she can't. For example, let's say she did a garage sale and your boat doesn't exist anymore. Well, then she's also going to be ordered to pay you the compensatory amount. So you do still have some leverage. Unfortunately, you probably need to get some momentum going back on finishing your divorce, even if it comes out of your pocket.
Hey, I'm just going to add one thing to that because that's pretty much covered up all of my understanding on this. Here's the one thing that I know that I'm positive that Rick knows because he deals with them on an even keel, and I did not. Turns out judges are people. They're not mean people. They're not bad people. They're not after you. This thing about a protection order during a divorce, unless she's got ironclad evidence, the judge probably knows that's to hassle you during a divorce. Because almost everybody I know, every girl I know did it, and every guy I know suffered from it. So that's all I was going to add. The rest, stay with Rick Jones. Thanks for the call, man. Let's jump down to Tammy from Historic Kent on line 4. That's Tammy from Historic Kent. Good morning, Tammy.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm incredibly well. Have you met my friend Rick Jones from Goldberg Jones?
Not personally, no, but I've heard him on the radio several times. I listen to you guys every morning.
Well, what can these two great minds do for you this morning, Tammy?
Okay, well, over the weekend, I went to get a line of credit. I was told by the bank that I had 3 things on my credit report. I have perfect credit. These 3 things belong to my ex-husband, who I never, other than one bank account, had my name on anything with the joint accounts. But they're on my credit report, so I disputed them. My divorce papers say that he is liable for all debt and whatever occurred personally and business-wise, and those accounts were on there and whatnot. So how do I get them off of my credit? Because I disputed them, and the one company came back, and all they did was up the charge on it.
Sure.
They won't take it off there, and it's not my debt.
Tammy, did these debts get incurred before or after the divorce?
I think that they were. There's 3 of them. 2 were during, and the one is kind of iffy.
All right, let me give you 2 answers then. If it occurred after the divorce, then you want to be able to provide a divorce decree when you're dealing with these creditors to be able to demonstrate that the 2 of you were no longer a community. And especially if they don't have your signature on something like a co-signed credit card, then they're likely to work with you, assuming it happened after the divorce. If it happened prior to the divorce, unfortunately, you're saddled with the concept of the credit scar. You're right. Your divorce papers tell you that tells the world that he's responsible, but that's just as between the two of you. They don't change the rights as to the creditors. So they still are within their authority to come after you if they get it from you. So if your only way to clear your credit is to pay off these balances, you may have to do that, and then you may have to bring him back to court to get compensation in return. Not a great way to go about it, but probably the only answer.
So if she wants her money back, because she's right and she is justified, but it's still damaging her credit. So the only way to actually get it is to pay these debts off herself, which is not kind of fair, but that's what the law requires, and then sue him to get it, which still is going to cost her money.
That's right.
All right.
Right.
You know what? The life coach news isn't always good, but it's accurate, and that's what I could never phrase it as well as Rick Jones, but that's what I was thinking. If it happened while you were married, it's going to damage your credit, and it's staying there till you clear it up. Good luck to you. Let's see. This is kind of an interesting call. Let me go to John in Seattle on line 5. And the reason I said it's interesting is because it couldn't be more basic. I think this will help a lot of people. Good morning, John.
Hey.
How you doing, buddy?
All right.
So were you taken by surprise like Tom Cruise?
Yeah, I'm married over 20 years, and I got a call, wife's filing for a divorce.
And your question is?
What should I do, and what should I expect?
Wow, I told you.
Give me a call and spend about 2 hours on the phone. No, unfortunately, you and I could talk from now until tomorrow this time in terms of the what ifs. So one of the real keys is really going to be go in and talk to somebody, whether it's our office or anybody else for that matter, frankly. Go in and sit down so that you can be present for them, answer the questions that they have of you, and that way they can give you back more of a customized answer, because you could read a book, you can look at at websites, but that's not going to speak to you. And that answer goes to anybody listening out there as well.
Let me ask you something. John, you've been married for 20 years, did you say, or something like that?
Yeah.
And this was kind of out of the blue?
Not really, no.
Okay. Is she super mad at you?
Pretty much, off and on.
Is she going to try and hurt you during this divorce? Because here's the thing. I got Rick Jones standing right next to me. If you wanted to get a divorce and you really wanted to hurt somebody, I don't know about what Rick Jones' limits are and what he'll do. But you got a big, this is one of the biggest lawyers in the state of Washington, and that's a really good idea. If everybody wants to be amicable, sending in your lawyer first. But what to do all depends on what she's going to want to do. If she's going to want to hurt you, and I feel bad saying this with Rick right here, he's a buddy of mine, but you need to lawyer up. You might want to call 1-800-DIVORCE, because if you don't know what she's going to want to do to you, because her options are almost limitless, as are yours, but I think you just want to cover yourself and probably get out of this. Is that correct?
I don't have a choice at this time.
No, you don't. On a personal level, you may want her back and things like that, and God bless you if that's the case. I'm sorry about that. But if everybody wants to play nice, this is actually a fairly simple thing. If she starts to, that's why I asked if she's really mad at you, that's when you're going to read the services of either Rick or somebody in Rick's profession. I pick Rick. Good luck to you, man, and I'm sorry that worked out that way. All right, let's go in the order they came in. Line 3 gives me Jim in Seattle. Good morning, Jim in Seattle.
Good morning.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, I was wondering if sums of money given as gifts to my wife by her parents are considered community property.
The answer is probably not.
Wow, I'd have totally said yes on that one.
Oh, no, community property, which is where we start things in Washington, has its exceptions, and one well-recognized exception is specific gift.
Is Washington different a lot?
Not really. It's what's called a community property state, which I think 40% or so of the states are, if my numbers are right. The others that are not, believe it or not, the experience I've seen with them, even though I don't practice in those states, it works itself out to be relatively the same.
Yeah, but so money that are gifts, yet still money, would not necessarily, if they were given after they got married, that would not be considered community property.
Here's the process, and one of the words that I'm going to mention is called tracing. So the day it's given, right, especially if there's no question that the intent was for her parents to give this gift to her, regardless of what form it is, it was separate property, so an exception from community. Now, what she does with that, let's say she gets $25,000. She puts in a bank account, spends that money on living expenses over the course of time. Now that money is gone 5 years later. She's saying, I want my $25K back. That's not going to happen because it was put into the flow. Right. You can't trace it back to its separate property roots.
All right, so let me get back to this exact call. So the answer to Jim in Seattle's question is they're not necessarily considered community property.
Yeah, not likely to be considered community property.
Sorry, Jim. Did you catch that?
Yep, thanks.
Thank you, man. Remember, we've got Rick Jones from Goldberg Jones Divorce from Men, 1-800-DIVORCE. I still have a little time, do I not?
Yeah, Lisa on line 7 is next.
Oh, I forgot. I'm wondering why the hell is this so hard? And that's because you usually pick the phone calls.
Lisa, you're on with Rick Jones from 1-800-DIVORCE and Danny Bonaducci, life coach.
Hi. I've been married for 26 years. And I just wanted to know what the financial implications of being divorced would be. My husband is retired from the Navy. He's been retired for 13 out of the 26 years we've been married, and he's racked up a lot of debt trying to do internet marketing. And I work full-time, and he makes about $1,200 for his retirement, and I make more than 3 times that, and I think we can have an amicable divorce. He really hasn't been interested in me since 1998, but we have a house together, and we have a home equity line of credit because he blew through so much money. He had to take a home equity line of credit, and he burned through my IRA.
Hey, Lisa, can I give you my opinion on something before Rick Jones of Goldberg Jones gives you facts?
Sure.
If you've really fooled yourself into thinking this is going to be amicable, you're wrong. You're really mad, and we can all tell.
Okay.
Okay.
I heard that giggle. I've heard that before.
Yeah. So what is your actual question?
Can you tell me why you don't think it would be amicable?
I'll tell you my opinion, because that was it's a personal and opinion, and it's because the way you say, because he hasn't shown any interest in me since 1998. And something else you said last, they're little digs that you're giving without showing any emotion. If you said those in an angry voice, they'd be really mean. Okay? So, or not really mean, but they'd be really pointed. I'd get this guy lost interest in you sexually in 1998 and hasn't advanced since then. I can tell that you are really angry and feel abandoned. How am I doing?
Yeah. And he hasn't had a job in 13 years.
So that makes me kind of right?
He's never filled out a job application.
Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Danny Bonaducci, life coach. I maybe not be an actual lawyer, but if you're a chick trying to hide you out to get me, I know. Rick, what can you do for this lovely young lady?
That's good radio. Right
yeah.
Awesome.
I'm good, man.
Well, speaking factually in terms of your question of what's going to be the financial ramifications, you're going to be okay. Because when you think about it, right now, the two of you have basically formed a company. You're a community. And so the monies that you're earning and the monies that he's not earning get pooled together, and you have what you have. Now, in the course of a divorce, obviously, that's going to need to be divided. The fact that he's getting a pension is helpful because, given what I've heard from you, it sounds like you're likely to be getting a portion of that military pension as well. Now, the silver lining, I guess, I really want to paint is that if he continues to get in debt, what you're now doing is drawing a line in the sand when you're divorced. So his future debt is not yours. You're still an income earner. You're still working full time. You're still the higher income earner. So you're going to be able to accumulate on your own. So going through a divorce is rough, and it's rough financially. You're in a little bit of a tunnel. You will be, at least for a period of time, but you're going to emerge, and you're going to be better off for it, frankly.
Okay, and remember, you wanted to keep it amicable, and it can totally be done. And I promise you from experience, and even though Rick's got more, I promise you from experience, that's the way to go. If you hate this cat and you can keep it to yourself, do so, and let the judge say, "Boom, you're divorced," and you'll have saved a ton of money, a ton of time, and things that can have ramifications for years to come. Go in amicable, leave amicable.
Here's Todd in Kirkland.
Hi.
Hiya, Todd. What's up, buddy?
Morning, sunshine.
Morning, sunshine. I got Rick Jones in here from Goldberg Jones, 1-800-DIVORCE. What do you got?
I'll try and make this as concise as possible. What I've been wondering, and it's not happening to me right now, but anyway, I've been wondering, why is it no matter what level you are in the divorce process, whether it's trial, separation, whatever, and on into full divorce or whatever, the man, for some reason, both police, court, everything else, seems to think the man has to leave the home. If it's a community property state and the home is half his, why is it that they're almost always directed to find another place to live?
Fair enough, and I believe you've called the right guy, because his slogan is Goldberg Jones, divorce for men. So if that's really what happens, we've got one of the better family legal minds in the state who thinks that would be unfair. Is he right? Does it usually go that way?
Well, he is right to a great extent. There, unfortunately, can be a lot of ploys, like we heard from a caller earlier about a protection order that's designed to have a flurry, and unfortunately that flurry usually puts the father, the dad, the husband, in a little bit of a backpedal. Now, normally that ploy, though, has to do not with financial issues, but has to do with custody. So a couple of things I guess I would speak to you. One, when it comes to the house, regarding ownership of the house, that's still an open contest, an open game, if you will. So the courts really aren't speaking to ownership when they're kicking somebody out. They recognize two people can't live under the same roof. What they're usually looking at is really well-intended. They're looking at the issue of custody of the children.
Right.
So if mom is more likely at that first blush, at that temporary order hearing, to be the custodial parent, well, we know the kids are going to stay in the home, so the question is who's going to be in the home with the kids.
Right.
So that's why, dad more often than not is the one that's booted.
Why do I have to leave if I own half the house and I have not been violent? The cops have never been called. All family, everybody I talk to.
Okay, I got it. I think Rick Jones has done enough of this to understand it. What is the deal there? I'm curious about that.
Well, somebody has to. So
Right.
I don't know if it was the right decision being, kicking you out versus kicking her out. I don't know enough about the facts or what the courts were considering. But somebody has to, because nobody wants two contesting divorced people to be living under the same roof. It's just a bad recipe.
It is a bad recipe, and I will tell you this. When my ex-wife, and I hated her, and she hated me, but there's a 2,200 square foot apartment at the bottom of her mansion with separate entrances and exits, and I tried to live there. You don't, and I will tell you this from experience, no matter what you think and how fair you think it is, don't try and live with the chick you hate. It doesn't work out. The court makes a smart decision on these two cannot live under the same roof. Thank you very much for your call. Danny Bonaduce, life coach.